I literally got a comment in one of my recent videos that Spider-Man's punch needs to get nerfed. His uppercut. What? They were like, this is all that Spider-Man players rely on. Dude, what are you talking about? That's literally the finisher of a full combo you have to put after tracking an opponent and tagging them. Which, by the way, you have X amount of seconds to get to that, dude. To string your combo. You're playing aerial FGC with Spider-Man, so fuck yes, that like the uppercut needs to be the way that it is. It does not need a nerf. They already nerfed Spider-Man for his animation cancel, which understandable. Everybody thought in the game that said it was an exploit. Cool, but now Spider-Man mains figured out a way to finish a person, because realistically speaking, even like, you hit somebody that's at full HP with a Spider-Man combo using the uppercut. After that, you still have to hit them either with a web cluster or a melee attack. Because all your shit is in cooldown. Or you run away. You swing away. You know, I'm out of there. This whole Nerf Spider-Man ordeal is starting to remind me of one of the things and reasons why I stopped playing Overwatch. And that was because I took the time and effort to go ahead and main at GM and top 500 level the most difficult character in the game, which was Genji. And if you don't know who Genji is, he's literally a ninja. He's a dude who shows up into the game where his abilities is throwing stars, melee, dash resetting, and his ultimate is whipping out a katana that you have to get up and close and personal to try to get eliminations with. It's like extremely high risk, extremely high reward. Like Black Panther. I don't remember what the specifics of it were, but when Genji players who were obliterating people started doing that, all the higher tier level players who couldn't play them, or the lower skilled players that were dealing with some of them that were up and coming, were complaining about the fact that he was too strong, especially with his combos. That's another thing. You have to combo up and rely on somebody being a distraction for you to get eliminations with these assassin class style of characters. They're high burst, high damage, but they're also extremely squishy and extremely vulnerable because they have massive cooldowns. And that's a lot of the things they did to Genji. Genji got an increase in his ammunition. I think it was by 3, and then it got nerfed by 6. But his firing rate got increased. And a bunch of other crap that he was just an experimental character that if you were a Genji player, you were constantly having to learn something new every single other update. But that's okay, because we like those type of challenges. But at the same time, it also gets old, you know? It gets old because they introduce other characters who will cancel him, who currently are canceling him, like a Symmetra, right? Imagine Symmetra's like the equivalent, or Symmetra and Torbjorn is the equivalent of a Scarlet Witch and a Namor. And on top of that, we also have Cloak and Dagger, which has similar no aim features, right? That are meant to counter a Spider-Man. I, as a high-ranking Spider-Man player, rarely will ego somebody who counters me. Because the way that you're supposed to play this game is like if you're playing Uno, like a Uno reverse card. It's like, okay, they whipped out somebody that's gonna like counter me. I'm not gonna get as much value out of Spider-Man because they have that guy out. So I'm gonna do the thing that not only will help me, but will help my teammates play without so much stress, and what will get us the win the easiest. Those are characters that you learn that if you do let that person continue playing the game and rolling your team, they get into a state of flow that you're just not going to be able to take them out of, because there's so much momentum behind them that you probably might just need an entire team swap of characters just to deal with him. And what's crazy about this is that the people that usually complain about these high skill level characters are people that think that these players get on that character and it just happens. Because we do put in the time and effort into make it seem as flawless as possible, but there's so many things that we're thinking about when we're trying to pull these plays off. But to other people that don't know how his kit works, that don't know how to play him, that don't know how to play with him or around him, understand. And they think that it just happens. It doesn't just happen. So if there's anything that I would like for you guys to go ahead and take away from this video, is that there are ways to counter this character. And I say this as somebody who mains Spider-Man. If you're getting dove by a Spider-Man, heck, even a Black Panther, Magic, any character that becomes extremely annoying, could be a tank or a DPS that's just hardcore diving you. The one biggest mistake I've seen support players do, and I say this because I also play tank and some supports. The biggest mistake that I see supports do when I'm diving them as Spider-Man is that instead of getting tighter with their team, they separate and create space. And what happens when you separate and create space between you and your tank is that your heals are not reaching them, so your tanks are being punished, or your front line, and you're isolating yourself. The last thing you want to be doing against a dive character is dueling with them 1v1. It's in our name. We are duelists. What you do when you duel is it's a 1v1. That's the definition of a duel. You do not want to get into a 1v1 with a duelist. And this is a tip, aside from obviously going down the route of play a Namor on your team, play somebody like Mantis, Invisible Woman, Luna, who can do CC, play Scarlet Witch, because by you coming closer to your tanks and to your other teammates, the dive characters are gonna have a harder time trying to target you because there's more bodies and more targets in the way. And instead of hitting you, right, with one of their abilities, which happens a lot, something that happens that when I have to go into a crowd of people as Spider-Man and I hit my clusters, I might hit a cluster on you, a tank, or another DPS who's less squishy than you, and then I chain my combo into them either by accident or because you're just in a position where it's hard to reach and I need to get value out of this dive. So I will damage the target that's going to give me the least risk. What people need to understand about Spider-Man is that if he's constantly taking you out and eliminating you from the game, you have to acknowledge the fact that he's a skilled player, and you need to stop letting your ego take over and think that you're going to be able to out counter him by staying in that role or continuing the same game patterns you are putting out, because that just means that he has you read like a book. So you need to do something to switch it up, switch up a pattern, switch up a character, because the moment that you cancel out a player that you confirm as being a problem, that's when the tides is going to change in the game. The complaint about the uppercut is that it's got a broad hit range on the hitbox, which I don't think comes from your target. It comes from the range of you in the Spider-Man ability when you hit the uppercut, correct? There's like a bubble that forms around you that anybody that's near that is gonna get hit. But it's in a cone because you're not gonna uppercut anybody behind you unless you hit the uppercut in front of them, and then you're just waiting for the animation of the uppercut, because it's about timing. Spider-Man inputs and Black Panther inputs are about timing. It's not about the animation of the character after you hit the input. That's where an animation canceling comes in, right? It's about doing the input prior to the animation, allowing you to do the ability. And I believe the biggest problem that people have with this uppercut is that the animation technically doesn't make sense with the range that it has, because it's an uppercut. Typically, somebody who does an uppercut is doing it at a single target in front of them, correct? So you're giving an uppercut for what seems like to be a single target the range of if you would have done like a spinning hook kick or a roundhouse kick, kind of like his third attack on the melee combo where it's jab, hook, and then he does a spinning hook kick. That to me would make a lot of sense if it hit a broad range the same way that the uppercut does. So if anything, they should just replace the animation from an uppercut to, I don't know, like backflip with a split kick or something. Something crazy, maybe with like the webs, you know, he does something crazy with the webs that makes it make sense that you hit that with that much range. But I'll defend the range of it because it's the finisher to a combo. You're playing a character with mechanics from an FGC, and if you don't know what an FGC is, it's a fighting game championship game like Tekken or Mortal Kombat, in a third-person shooter game where most characters have projectiles and guns and stuff that you can hit from a long range. So to some degree, it needs to make sense. That's like saying, oh, Magic has too much range. She's literally swinging a Claymore Buster sword around. Ultimately, what you're doing with Spider-Man is chaining combos and at times doing what's called in a fighting game a juggle. And I can understand why a lot of people might not understand this character, because not everybody has ever played fighting games, which is why probably a lot of people don't understand how to play Iron Fist as well. Now, if we're talking about Iron Fist and being able to fly to hit scan flyers with his magnetism, that's a completely different topic. Like, we could go on about that one because I play Iron Fist and I'm like, this is some BS. I can't believe I can do this. It's like Dragon Ball. I hope that helps you guys. And if you guys have any other questions or need any tips or advice, comment those down below. I'll be more than happy to, you know, talk it out with you guys, debate a little bit. I'm not gonna hate on you. Like, I take tips from people in my comment section all the time. And I apply them and I try them. We all ultimately just want to be the best players in this game, correct? Or climb as high as possible. And like, I will gladly tell you what the biggest counters and downfalls to my own characters are. You know, I don't care. You know, I want to see people have fun in the game being good at it. Because yes, you can have fun trying to win a game and then lose, but like, it's even more fun when you win. Let's be real. Let's not lie.